I've decided to come out to garden centre and home improvement superstore. In fact, I'm going to visit two today. My wife says old farts like me could spend hours walking around these places, so it's one way of getting my steps in when it's wet outside.
Well, Saturday, not part of the trial today, although I managed to do about 10,000 steps according to the app. That was largely down to a walk to the shops for a few things. I washed the two cars inside and out, including my old 18-year-old Fiesta, which is actually still in great nick. I wish my bodywork was in as good condition as that was. And I've been in the garden most of the day, doing some general gardening, weeding, watering some of my planters, general tidying up. I've cleaned out the pond in the garden. All the detritus that gathers over the winter needs to be cleaned out, and cleaned the water. And it's been nice just listening to that gurgle away all day. And I've also just had half an hour in my hot tub, which has been just wonderful. Very relaxing. And now that I read it's good for me as well, even better. So that's good. That's been today. In terms of reflecting back on the week, the main issue I tend to find is that drinking a couple of litres of just water is a bit boring. I would drink the odd glass or two of water in a day. I quite like a glass of water, that's not an issue, but I tend to like a bit more variety. I tend to drink a glass of orange juice. I tend to drink a glass of milk. I have lots of tea and coffee. So I take in quite a lot of liquid normally. So that's that was the trickiest, and really I had to make sure if I drinking the water I was taking it in really before 5 o'clock. Otherwise I was just going to be up through the night. That's not worth the hassle, I can tell you. And I really had to cut out lots of tea. I hardly drank any tea all week. I didn't drink any orange juice or milk, which I missed actually. So that's been the major impact. As for doing steps, as the weather improves, that's not really an issue, because if the weather's nice, I'd rather be out doing something. Certainly over the winter and certainly the cold spring, it's been a different matter altogether. It's been none too pleasant sometimes outside. But all in all, fairly straightforward, really. And really, I wasn't even thinking about things today, and I've already done more steps than I did most of the week. So, all in all, it's been straightforward. And if you need any more, just let me know. Right, tonight it's stir frying. I've had some fish. This is monkfish, which I cut off from monkfish tails, and it's been marinating all day. Marinating in lemon juice, chilli, ginger and garlic, and so that'll tenderise it nicely, and that's going to be the first thing to go into the wok. Just a couple of teaspoons of wok oil, and then I'll be adding in the veg, which I've chopped up, a whole variety of veg here. Oops, we'll just get that more into view, and a little bit of pineapple. Then I'll add a little bit of tomato puree just to thicken the sauce, and I'll add some noodles, which have got no calories in them at all, so these are no calorie noodles. And then if I need to thicken the sauce, because water will come out the veg, then I will probably add in a little bit of xanthan gum just to thicken it up. So starting very much with the fish, and I'm just really going to sear the fish. It doesn't take very long It's not really going to take long to cook. In actual fact, the veg really doesn't take an awful lot longer, so I'll be adding the veg pretty quickly. I think that's yeah, that looks okay. Again, I'm not measuring anything, I'm just more or less throwing things in. So I've got lots of veg all going into the wok and stirring it around. And add some pineapple, save a little bit out for later. I'm going to put the lid on and let it steam for a few minutes just to make sure the veg is all cooked. And then at the end I'll show you the finished result. Getting ready to do my workout today, and I'm coming past my snack drawer. Temptation's still there, but as you can see, the snacks are all still in place. So I have avoided snacks for the last 2.5 weeks, and yes, and now I'm heading to do my warm-up before I do the resistance work, and that's all for today. Well, I'm out for my afternoon stroll at the moment, and thankfully the sun has come out today. It was just dreadful yesterday, it rained all day. And here I am along the seafront in Nairn. As you can see, the tide is pretty much in at the moment. When tide's out, we have miles and miles of sandy beaches, both to the east and west of us. So you can go quite some distance, and it's less crowded. But when we're actually with the tide in, then the coastal path here gets a little bit busier, and it'll be busier further along as we go towards Nairn Links. A little bit disappointed today. My weight isn't down. I am psychologically putting it down to putting muscle on. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I've certainly been doing my exercises, and I'm now attempting to increase my daily step average, trying this week to get up to about 13,000 steps a day, so we'll see how I get on with that. But as you can see, on a sunny day, and when you've got this beautiful coastline, it's not really a struggle to come out and go for a walk, although I must admit Nairn is getting very, very busy at the moment, full of tourists, literally thousands of extra people in the town, lots of people on staycation this summer. Right, I've had a brief stop along my walk. I have to say that in between the stops I'm walking quite fast, just trying to get the heart going a little bit faster. And as you can see behind me, we've got the play park, the splash pad, which is bringing kids in from all over, and we've also got the beach cafe, which is quite busy today. Although it's sunny, it's certainly not tropical, and the beach itself is quite busy, even though the tide's quite far in today. And behind me you can see the cricket club area as well. That's the main area for the cricket club, their pavilion, and the cricket pitch behind me. Not just nothing on it at the moment, apart from people enjoying themselves. And I'll just turn around briefly to head in the other direction. That gives you an idea of what the Nairn Links is. This is the main area, main beach area in Nairn, where most of the tourists come, and where the main car park is, which I'll show you just behind me. You can see, oops, daisy. But
Yeah, there are cars there, so you can see it's always busy in the summer, and this summer particularly busy. So I'm going to head on, continue my walk, and I'll head up the River Nairn. Right, I've just arrived at Nairn Harbour, which separates the east and west beach in Nairn. As you can see, even though the tide's quite far in, there's still quite a few people on the beach. And behind me, if I turn round, you'll see part of Nairn Harbour. The River Nairn runs right alongside the harbour, and there are paths which go inland from the harbour right along the river. And I turn round, behind me there's one of the Nairn restaurants, which is very close to the seafront and gets excellent views over the Moray Firth. Yeah, quite a few tourists out today. The main danger when you're out walking is watching out for bicycles. Very few of them seem to have bells on their bikes these days. And the other thing is the extendable dog leads. The dogs aren't the problem, it's the owners that have no idea how to use them. Guaranteed to trip up many a pensioner. That's just a grumpy old man speaking. Yes, out for my walk along the Nairn River, and this is a river path. It actually goes all the way into Inverness, about 23 miles, although there are several footbridges across the river where you can do a circular route, and that's what I'm doing today. Taking a walk to the Firhall Bridge, crossing the river, and then heading back into Nairn. You can see the river behind me. There are quite a few pools in the river. Local children quite like to swim, you know, where the river's not flowing too fast. I think down there is one of them, and very quiet along here, so it's really nice. And I'm just going to head off and continue my walk. And I just go all the way along the path. It's quite wooded on both sides. A few breaks where you can get down to the river, and there's quite a few rapids, fast running water you can hear in the background. And then you come into a darker, more enclosed areas. So this is the walk, attempting to get up to my 13,000 steps today. This walk should add on at least about 9,000 of them, so that's a good start. After a day of exercises and walking, it's time to relax in the hot tub with a glass of whisky. I've actually got it in a tall glass because when I put the bubbles on, you can get a few splashes, and I wouldn't want to dilute it. So, cheers, Slàinte. I'll put the bubbles on and you probably won't hear a thing thereafter. And now I'm just going to sit back and relax. 25th of July, this was week 5 of the diet and exercise. I'm out on a walk along the Nairn beach, and you might be able to see there's still people in the sea, although there is quite a cold wind today, and they're even in the splash pool behind me as well. And it is not a warm day. We've got an east coast har, and I think the temperature's gone down 10 degrees from what it was yesterday. So I'm out for a walk along the beach. I stopped off at the golf club to see a sporting hero of mine, Gary Player, now 85 years old and still incredibly fit, was playing a round of golf at Nairn Golf Club today. And so a crowd of members turned up to wish him well and hope he enjoys our course. And I'm just going to continue my walk along the seafront and then down the river. Well, I'm now getting towards the end of the 5th week, and tomorrow I am dreading my weigh-in and my measurements. I have no idea how I've done this week. It's been a bit
of an odd week, apart from a day filming, which sort of disrupts the exercises a bit. I was also away from home for a couple of days, and I spent most of the time driving. 5 hours down the A9 from Nairn to Livingston one day, and then 5 hours driving on the way back. So I certainly didn't get my steps in, and I definitely didn't get anywhere near enough exercise. It's actually also very difficult to sort of ensure that you're eating the right things as well when you're away, especially when you're eating out. And I did as best as I could to try and choose things that I would eat at home, and being very mindful of the portion size and the sorts of things I'm eating, but it's certainly not as easy. So yeah, that was more of a challenge, and so that's going to be very interesting when I go away for a 10-day road trip, because yes, eating away from home and making sure that you have your regular meals and don't snack, all of that sort of thing, is going to be difficult to manage, and then try and fit in the exercise at the same time. So yes, tomorrow's going to be interesting. I'm crossing my fingers, but a little bit apprehensive.
Well, I'm back out here walking along the river, and as you can see over my left shoulder, the river is quite swollen. We've had a lot of rain the last week, thunderstorms, and I mean really we had about 36 hours of non-stop rain and a lot of other stuff, so really pretty strong. And it takes a while for the water to get into the river, because I mean, this is the River Nairn here has got a huge catchment area, stretches right over to the Middle Highlands, so it will continue to fill up. Even though the rain has stopped over the last day or two, it will continue to fill up and stay high for some days. It's going to take a long time before it goes down, so quite full. But the path's actually in very good condition, because it's got a lot of woodland overhanging it. It's kept the path reasonably dry. There are a few muddy patches, but it's not too bad. So after a few days internal on my treadmill, I'm now getting out and getting the fresh air, and it's much more enjoyable to walk in the fresh air. Oops. I'm here at a bridge over the River Nairn, and as you can see behind me over my left shoulder, the river is still in spate. It's still very full after the recent rain, although really the main rain shower stopped a couple of days ago. We've had a little rain, but not a huge amount the last couple of days, but the water's still draining off the fields and the moors from the highlands right in to the river from its catchment. Now, if you want to know more about rivers and flooding and all of that sort of thing, you can check up my book Physical Geography on Amazon, and it explains all about flood hydrographs and stuff like that for those that are interested in that sort of thing. I've done my workout this morning, but instead of going out for a walk, I've been busy at the house doing various jobs. I'd had some windows put in my shelter, and I've been taping them off with masking tape and painting them. So basically I'm painting the frames of the windows, and I've also been painting our outside wooden windows. They have to be done really every 2 years just to keep them fresh. So might not be doing the same number of steps, but yes, I've been tidying up the windows, and yeah, a dry day so far, so it at least gives me a chance to get some jobs done around the house. Yes, I'm out for an evening stroll. The weather has been atrocious today. It's been bucketing down virtually all day, and it's calmed down just a little, so I thought I'd come for a stroll around the seafront, and you can probably make out just about behind me the local canoe club has taken advantage of the improvement in the weather, and they've got quite a lot of boats out. Look like they've got quite a few beginners with them learning the ropes at sea canoeing, something I did many years ago. But it's a nice calm evening, a huge change from earlier on in the day. I'm going to proceed on to the links because the Nairn shows have set up today, and it'll be interesting just to see what's happened there. They always come round about the 9th of August, and today's the 10th, so they should be set up and here for 10 days or so. Just a fraction of the shows have arrived in Nairn. This is the 10th of August and 7:30 at night. In that they could have arrived yesterday, I would have expected a few more to be here, but there's probably just about 8 or 9 of the fairground activities set up round and about, and there's a lot of space for a lot more, so it usually builds up towards next weekend. I mean, normally the shows come about 10 days before we have the Nairn Highland Games, and the Nairn Highland Games is the only free Highland Games, so you don't have to pay for entry. But it unfortunately will not run again this year, so that's 2 years the games have had to be postponed. But the shows are here, and something for the kids to see before they get back into school.
Yes, I'm now in the gym in the second hotel we visited on our little trip. This is Saturday morning, August the 21st. Drove down from the Highlands to Doncaster on the 19th. That took about 8.5 hours, so that includes a couple of stops. Used the gym yesterday morning before we had breakfast and came on to the second hotel, and came down here 7 o'clock this morning. I've been on the rowing machine, the stepper and the treadmill, and I've done about 55 minutes of a workout, and I'm going to go now for a swim, steam, and then get ready for breakfast and start the day properly. Right, we're now 25th of August, and I'm holidaying on the Isle of Wight, a place I've never been. Quite interesting, but incredibly busy with tourists this year. And I've gone for a coastal walk just along the coast here, just to get some steps in and get the lie of the land. It's very interesting. We're heading back north tomorrow morning in the early ferry and stopping a couple of places en route. And yeah, I'm actually looking forward to getting home to my own bed after so many days ahead away from it. I don't think I've been away from home for the last 18 months. It's been quite interesting. Yeah, and there's a very different attitude to the coronavirus down here. Hardly anyone wears masks, which is very different at home. So yeah, that's been quite strange. Isle of Wight's quite nice, but the roads are quite narrow. A lot of big vehicles on them. They don't have any dual carriageways, anything of that sort, so it can take you half an hour to go 8 miles. I mean, really, it's quite slow going. It's a step back in time in terms of roads, I think. But, very interesting, and yeah, certainly plenty of holiday makers here. The ferries were just totally chock-a-block coming across. Up back to Nairn after 11 days holiday, so back on the straight and narrow. Lunch is salad with smoked salmon and cream cheese, so that's very healthy, and I will get into doing my exercises later on, although I must admit I've lifted a few bags filling up the shopping trolley this morning, so all in all it's been a busy morning, but now getting back to normal. So that's where we are now, the 31st of August, starting a new leaf for September. Well, this is September the 2nd, and I'm just recovering from driving 2,500 miles. We went away for 11 days holiday. Interesting to see that despite being away from home for 11 days and not all of the hotels having gyms, I think probably half the time I managed to do a workout. The other half just wasn't feasible. Either that or I was driving. So all in all, yeah, being away from home's not as easy to keep control of your food intake or the exercise you're doing. But I'm pleased. I did better than I thought, despite consuming a lot more alcohol, more wine with meals, gin and vodka, and anything else that was going. And despite all that, I managed to only add on a pound to my weight, which I thought was great going. I've obviously tried to keep active, and although I was on holiday and was obviously relaxing a bit more, I did try to be sensible what I ate. I was trying to eat healthily, avoiding having too many carbs, and so basically making sensible choices and trying to avoid snacking in between meals. And I seem to have sort of knocked that out of my system, really. So I'm obviously developing better habits than I was previously, and that's managing to stick with me even when I'm out of my normal routine. So we'll see how things go. I know I've lost the pound that I put on since I came back, and we'll just have to see how the rest of the week goes. So yeah, I'm going to be a bit more active over the course of the next week, and then we will see how much I can lose before the reveal. But all in all, I'm in a place that's better than I thought I was going to be, and I'm delighted I seem to have developed the right sort of habits, both in terms of eating and when not to eat, and in terms of getting exercise, and I'm actually enjoying the exercise that I'm doing, which is surprising me as well. So yeah, positives all round at the moment. Well, it's Thursday the 9th of September now, and the reveal is this evening. So I'm just getting ready for it. I'm going to chill this morning, get dressed up this afternoon. I'm going out for a meal before the reveal. And yes, hopefully when the suit comes off they'll notice there's been a bit of a difference. Wondering what the reaction is going to be to the fact that I have been hiding a lot of this from them, that I've been trying to get fit without them knowing. So yeah, it'll be different. I placed some TRX straps at the back of the door here. This is the highest door I've got in the house, and allows me to get a little bit of height with the straps rather. I'll do it again. I placed some TRX straps behind the back door, a little bit of height with this door because it's got a step, so that gives me a little bit of extra height. And I do 2 exercises after I've done a warm-up using these straps. First exercise is basically I'm using the straps to pull myself up, and my arms are out, and basically it's my body weight. My feet are in front, and I do 30 of these. I then use the straps just to support, to do supported squats. So I basically bend down, try and look up to keep the back as straight as possible, and the straps are just here as an additional support as I do 40 squats. I have a kettlebell here, and I'm going to do some squats using the weight 12 kilogram kettlebell. So I bend down, bring it right up to my chin, keeping it as close to my chest as possible on the way up and keeping it back straight. And I'll do 20 of those. After that, I'll hold my arms straight out. I've got a kilogram weight held up on each arm, and I'll do arm circles. So basically arm circles, and I'll do 60 of these. So 60 arm circles. I started off without weights, then built up to putting kilogram weight on each side. The next exercise is pushbacks, basically calisthenic pushbacks, and I'm just starting from the front, pushing my shoulders back as far as I can go. So I'm doing 100 of these. That's the first set, 100 of those. In terms of floor, I'm doing basically planks and holding a plank for 30 seconds. Started off just doing a plank from the knee, and then graduated doing full planks and increased it from a hold of 15 seconds to a hold of 30 seconds. Adding on to that, I then do somewhere between 5 and 10 push-ups, depends what I feel like. I'm still doing the workouts, and obviously the advantage of the treadmill is I can warm up indoors. Don't need to go out for a walk. So yes, still continuing the 3 or 4 possibly workouts a week. So that's the pattern at the moment. That's it. Yes, I'm going to do a little tour of our garden. See how it's coming on. Now the season's, this is our sitting area where we can have breakfast if the weather is good. Got a nice little sunshade to keep us shaded from the sun. Barbecue for those barbecue days. This is the bit I'm working on at the moment. It's a fir bed, which as you can see is very overgrown. But before I remove these trees at the front, I've been working from the back. I've cut down a lot of overgrown trees. You can see the tree stumps, and planting some shrubs here which eventually will grow up and provide me with a bit of a cover. And once they've grown up a bit, then I will remove the trees at the front and fill it up with other shrubs that are not going to get quite so high. And just going around the garden, and a couple of sculptures. And this is the shelter that I built 4 years ago. Bought a kit, put it up myself. It was quite straightforward to do. And I sit here and have my gin and tonic in the afternoon. It's really quite nice. You can see the breakfast area there. This is for the afternoons. If I want to catch a bit of sun, I can sit in my swing here. It's got a shade. Got another eating area here. My hot tub, which I tend to use in the evening. Take a whisky out and have the bubbles relax me after a hard day's work in my allotment. This is my rockery. Beginning to get a bit more colour. I've had to thin things out and put a few different plants in to get a bit more variety. So hopefully later in the season that will come on. And this area here is a sort of sunbathing area. And again, the best of the sun here in the afternoon. Got 2 sheds. One's my tool shed, and the other one has got a lot of bric-a-brac in it at the moment. I've almost finished repainting them. There are a couple of little bits I've got to touch up. Tool shed I've reorganised. Bought some metal shelves from Lidl, which have been great, and that stores a lot of my stuff. And yeah, it's just got lots of, a bit tidier than it was. It was a real mess. And the trick is to try and keep it that way. Out by the bin stores, bins are not terribly attractive, but I've got them covered up in there. And this shed, I've got a lot of stuff that I need to get down to the tip, and I've been hiding a lot of stuff between the two huts that are all ready to remove. And round to my little cold frame where I'm growing some seedlings for planting in my allotment, and my herb bed, which I'm just sort of cleaning out a little bit. The rosemary grows incredibly fast and has to be trimmed back down drastically every year. And I had an old pallet which some stuff was delivered on, and I've decided to turn it into a sort of 6 little beds where I'm growing vegetable crops. Basically various salad leaves and spring onions and stuff like that. And that's the back garden. Front's a bit more straightforward because I've got very little round the front. Just got a small patch with a buddleia in the corner and a couple of planters at the front. So this is all relatively straightforward and relatively low maintenance. But the back garden's great because you get the sun from first thing in the morning right to last thing at night. So I can watch the sunsets in my hot tub at night. In the evening we get sun in this bit round by the bin stores, and got a chair here for relaxing at night. I'll just shut up my tool shed. And that's a little tour of our garden as it is. A few things are coming to life now. It's been very, very slow this year. Could do with a bit more colour in my rockery. But yeah, some things are still to come on.